So water supply has been restored to most parts of Johannesburg. This comes after 60% of Rand Water's production capacity was lost due to a veld fire at the weekend. Water supply in Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, Tshwane and Mogale city was affected. Our reporter Silindelo Masikane is following that story and joins us now for an update. But we are also joined by Bateman, who joins us to give us an update about the situation in Lodium. And I think I want to start with you, Barry, out there in Lodium. What issues in that area have been troubling, water issues rather, have been troubling the area for quite a number of years now? How does the community feel about this situation?
Yeah, good afternoon, Tula Sizwe. You're quite right. This is water issues have been plaguing this community for some time. You'll just recall, I think it was a couple of months ago that the community here took to the streets. They actually closed down one of the main intersections running past Lodium. But just last week, they had another period of water interruptions. I'm actually standing up on the hill looking over Lodium where the water reservoir is. And this is part of the problem, as I understand it, that we're quite elevated and it requires significant amount of pressure to get the water up here, but with failing infrastructure, that's becoming far more difficult. So there are solutions that need to come into play. But with me to tell me a little bit more about those concerns is Prajay Ramji, who is a community leader in the area, but also a candidate for Action SA. So I'm sure he'll have quite a bit to say. But just on the concerns that the community has and experienced last week, how long has this been going on for?
This problem has been going on from 2014. So the excuse whether it's DA run or ANC run is not valid. One party always blames the other. City always blames the rainwater blames the city. All we as the residents of Lodium want is the truth. I mean, they should just explain to us whether they don't have the capacity to provide us with clean water. But we are tired of the lies. That is the main concern. Speaking as a resident and as a qualified engineer, we do have certain criteria that we follow when looking at a problem. You first come to the reservoir, you look at the inflow, the outflow, and you measure it, and then you go along the line. And I suggest that an independent investigation must be done to find the truth for the residents of Lodium.
Thank you very much, Prajay. Now, Tula Sizwe, I was up here earlier with the MMC, which is responsible for water and sanitation, Philip Nell, and he was telling me that a long-term solution is on the cards. And what they've had a meeting last week with Rand Water as well as Cogta, various other role players, and what they're looking at is using a different line, a line with more pressure. When I say line, I mean water line, to get the water up to this reservoir, which has more pressure, so that they no longer have this persistent problem. How long that is going to take for it comes into effect? They still need to do some tests, but it does appear that there is some light at the end of the tunnel.
All right, that sounds good. Hopefully that light at the end of the tunnel actually delivers by way of a stable water supply for that particular area. Let me take you to Silindelo, Masikane. And Sli, you've been watching the situation around the issues that arose at Rand Water with the loss of some 60% of its capacity. What do we know about the current situation?
Well, from what we understand, Tulas, is that there is light at this tunnel, at the end of this tunnel rather, where we know that the water supply was affected due to a power shortage, and that of course coming from Eskom. And we know now that the power has been restored and that water supply is once again being restored into several areas that were affected, including some areas in the northwest such as Rustenburg. That's how wide this particular problem is. But the officials have once more released a statement saying that currently the organization is managing the full restoration of the affected reservoirs in its supply network, and that it's confident that the areas that were affected would soon receive water. Let's take a listen.
Everything was finalized. We are back. Eskom brought power back by midnight. Everything was done. By yesterday around 3 o'clock, we were already pumping fully. Oh. And so far, there is no municipality except for Ekurhuleni that has indicated that they have run dry. Of course, there are sporadic challenges here and there in the systems, but in the main, we are back to normal.
So that's official, Dom, then, Silindelo, in as far as that situation is concerned. But what about the residents? How are they feeling?
You can imagine, Tulas, frustrated, fed up, angry, annoyed. Really, certainly are some of the adjectives we could use to describe what residents are feeling on the ground. I mean, when it comes to water woes, here in particular in the city of Johannesburg, we know that residents, every now and again, there is an area that is told that water supply is being affected. And just this month, where I am right now in Gauteng and in 5 other areas, they had no water for almost a week. And the residents here are saying that they've just had enough. They're paying residents. They don't understand that why is it that it's always the citizen who needs to suffer. Speaking about how humiliating it is to have to ask friends or family members to just come and take a bath because they have water in that area. And I think as we go into local government elections, many of the residents are saying that they're possibly going to change their vote. They're looking for a party or an individual who can certainly deliver on the promises of basic services such as water and electricity. Let's take a listen.
A couple of weeks ago, 8 days we never had water. You got to ride around and beg people to have a bath. It's a disgrace.
We short of water. Sometimes they bring a car with water. We go and fetch our water with our drums. It's almost been about 2 to 3 weeks we've been no water, and for us at the restaurant it's very hard because we have no water. We have to buy a lot of water to cook, and then for the toilets, to clean the restaurant, everything is been so hard for us at the restaurant.
Look, I think it's unfair as we're paying citizens. We're not getting the water we should be having. Half the time we have no pressure, sometimes we have no water. It's inconvenient, and as a paying customer, you can find it's highly irritating.
We've been struggling for the past couple of weeks with regards to water, etc. Struggling with cooking for our kids, struggling with bathing and showering, etc. Just the normal necessities that you need on a daily basis.
Water is the sustaining of our life. So please, allow us to have the water so we can all grow. We got children that needs to have baths, they need to have, milk, or they need to have food. So they need the water. So I believe that water is very important substance for us to live in our lives, and we need to have the water.
From Gauteng here in Johannesburg and Lodiam in Pretoria, our reporters Silindelo, Masikane and Bateman respectively. Thank you for your reporting.